Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem, and in today's top stories. Deadly Palestinian terror sparks undeterred riots targeting Arab villages and towns in Samaria, drawing calls for calm from the Israeli government. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Galant calls on Israelis to brace themselves for the days ahead. A summit in the Jordanian city of Aqaba culminates with understandings between Israel and the Palestinian Authority as part of political efforts to alleviate tensions on the ground. Tensions once again simmered over the weekend when deadly Palestinian terror blatantly claimed the lives of two young Israeli brothers in the Palestinian town of Hawara, situated in the West Bank district of Samaria, south of the city of Nablus, consequently sparking a rampage by a radical group of young Israeli settlers taking law into their own hands to enact revenge. Initial reports of the deadly terror attack were received shortly before 2 p.m. yesterday, when a Palestinian terrorist arrived at Ein Bus Junction and opened fire toward an Israeli vehicle before fleeing the scene. Israeli security forces and medical teams immediately scrambled to the scene of the attack. Regrettably, both Israeli victims, who were identified as brothers Hillel and Yagel Yaniv, were proclaimed dead shortly thereafter. And while Israeli security forces immediately launched a manhunt after the terrorist, several hours later, shortly after sunset yesterday evening, dozens of Israeli youth from nearby settlements flooded into the town of Hawara, among other Palestinian villages in the area, with a declared intention to enact revenge, setting ablaze dozens of vehicles in both residential and commercial structures. In tandem, multiple clashes were reported between local Palestinians and the Israeli settlers, while IDF troops and border police forces were proactively trying to disperse the rioters. And while Israeli medical crews noted that they treated two Israeli settlers, both aged 16 years old, suffering from tear gas inhalation, the Palestinian Health Ministry announced that one Palestinian man was killed after sustaining gun wounds during riots in the town of Zatara, south of Hawara. Two other Palestinians were also in need of treatment after sustaining gun wounds. A third Palestinian man was stabbed and a fourth was beaten with an iron rod. Moreover, 95 others were being treated for tear gas inhalation. In response, military sources noted that Israeli troops were not involved in the shooting of the Palestinian man who was killed during yesterday's riots, and a source noted to TV7 that the assailant remains at large. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reacted to the deadly terror attack, which claimed the lives of two Israelis as well as the deadly clashes which ensued.
קרה היום אסון נורא. אני מבקש לשלוח תנחומים למשפחת יניב, שאיבדה שניים מבניה היקרים, השם ייקום דמם. צה"ל וכוחות הביטחון כרגע נמצאים במרדף אחר הרוצח. אנחנו נמצא אותו, אנחנו נלכוד אותו, אנחנו נבוא איתו חשבון. אני מבקש גם כשאדם חם בארוחות לוהטות, לא לקחת את החוק לידיים. אני מבקש לתת לצה"ל ולכוחות הביטחון לעשות את עבודתם, ואני מזכיר לכם שבשבועות האחרונים הם חיסלו עשרות מחבלים ומנעו עשרות פיגועים. תנו לצה"ל להשלים את המרדף, אל תיקחו את החוק לידיים, וביחד ננצח את הטרור.
Subsequently this morning, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Galant toured the scene of the attack, during which he expressed deep-felt sorrow for the heinous act of terror which claimed the lives of two brothers, Hillel and Yagel.
אנחנו נמצאים בנקודת הפיגוע בחווארה. הפיגוע היה פיגוע אכזרי, קשה, כואב, הלב נקרע, כאשר אתה מבין את הכאב העצום של המשפחה שאיבדה את שני בניה, את הלל ואת יגל. הדבר הזה הוא דבר נורא.
Minister Galant went on to call on Israelis stricken with sorrow not to take the law into their own hands and emphasized the need to trust the IDF and the security establishment to do its job.
אנחנו לא נאפשר טרור כנגד ישראלים ונפעל ככל שנדרש. יחד עם זה אני קורא לכולם להרגיע את הרוחות, לצנן, אין לגיטימציה ואי אפשר לפעול מהבטן. אסור בשום פנים ואופן שאנחנו נאפשר מצב שבו אנשים לוקחים את החוק לידיים. אני מבקש מכולם להישמע להוראות החוק ובעיקר לסמוך על צה"ל וכוחות הביטחון בכל מקום ברחבי הארץ. תסמכו על צה"ל, יש על מי לסמוך, אנחנו עושים את העבודה.
Jerusalem's top defense official further revealed that the Israeli security establishment expects complex and even difficult days ahead as hostilities may erupt at any given moment.
הייתי כאן עם מפקדי צה"ל, אנחנו צפויים לימים מורכבים ואולי אפילו ימים קשים. זה יכול להיות כאן ביהודה ושומרון, בגזרת ירושלים או בגזרת עזה. אני נתתי הנחיות ברורות לצה"ל, לשירות הביטחון הכללי, לכוחות מג"ב, היערכות מלאה כנגד כל האיומים, גם בהגברת הפעילות בשטח, תוספת כוחות, מרכיבי הגנה על היישובים ועל הצירים, והכי חשוב, ללכת ולהגיע אל המחבלים ולהביא אותם לדין, או לבית משפט או לבית קברות, לפי ההתפתחות בשטח.
It is important to know that the Israeli Defense Minister's voiced assessment of the days ahead was made in spite of a summit that was hosted by Jordan's King Abdullah II in Aqaba under U.S. patronage and in cooperation with Jordan and Egypt, where Israeli and Palestinian Authority delegations held a meeting that focused primarily on preventing an escalation in hostilities ahead of the holidays Passover and Ramadan. According to a senior Israeli official, understandings had been reached between the sides. He said that among other matters, it was agreed to establish a joint committee that would be tasked with reviewing renewed security coordination between Israel and the Palestinian Authority. Moreover, the senior Israeli official confirmed that Jerusalem had pledged to make no new decisions related to Israeli construction in Judea and Samaria for the next 4 months. The Israeli pledge was apparently made in exchange for the Palestinian Authority's commitment to take responsibility for fighting terrorism in territories under its control. Meanwhile, Palestinian terror groups loyal to the Islamist Hamas and the Iranian proxy Palestinian Islamic Jihad in Nablus voiced outrage over the Palestinian Authority's participation at the Aqaba summit.
لقاء سياسي وأمني انهزامي في مدينة العقبة الأردنية تحت رعاية أمريكية بمشاركة من السلطة الفلسطينية. يأتي هذا اللقاء على وقع المجازر والجرائم التي يرتكبها الاحتلال الصهيوني بحق شعبنا، وعلى وقع الاستيطان في الضفة الغربية والتهويد في القدس.
The Islamist Hamas organization joined the voiced outrage against its arch-rival, which controls the Palestinian Authority, saying that it intends to end a violent popular uprising of the Palestinian people against Israel, which according to Gaza's rulers must not be the case.
ندين ونستنكر بأشد العبارات مشاركة السلطة الفلسطينية في اجتماع أمني في مدينة العقبة بحضور الاحتلال الصهيوني. هذا اللقاء يهدف إلى وأد الانتفاضة والثورة لشعبنا الفلسطيني في الضفة والقدس. هذه المشاركة يعني أن التنسيق الأمني بين الاحتلال والسلطة في تصاعد كبير وليس في حالة وقف كما أعلنت السلطة. هذا الاجتماع خارج عن الإجماع الوطني ولا يعبر إلا عن قيادات متنفذة في السلطة الفلسطينية. المطلوب عقد قمة عربية إقليمية لدعم شعبنا ومقاومته الباسلة.
Meanwhile, in Jerusalem, Israeli residents of the capital voiced frustration with the current state of security in the country. While there's a growing sentiment among Israelis that a tear among the country's diverse populations is currently intensifying, there seems little hope in any political effort to alleviate tensions ahead of yet another cycle of hostilities.
I see the country being split between sort of the id and the need to express emotions and anger and frustration, and the other aspect of this country, which is a country with ribonut, a country with standing in the international community, and a country that makes agreements with other countries and has to be loyal to those agreements. So there's a real split here.
I don't know nothing about what happened in Aqaba, like that just fell over me. Who read it in the internet, never knew about it. I don't know who is there and what it's all about. I know that situation here is deteriorates from day to day, and we feel insecure and that everything like collapse.
In what way?
In what way? That we kind of have a government that came with the promise that they will bring back security feeling, but we feel the opposite.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. We would like to encourage you, pray for our persecuted brothers and sisters worldwide, as well as for the peace of Jerusalem and the salvation of Israel. Jonathan Essen wishing you a Shavua Mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you again tomorrow at the same time.